Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect Podcast. I'm your host, Naveen Ganglani, as always. So exciting because this is episode number 140. First of all, I cannot believe we've made it this far, but here we are, and the journey has been amazing, and there's many more great moments to come. And it's going to be a special 140th episode. You know why? We have a champion head coach joining us, and a champion head coach who won very recently with his franchise winning for the first time ever. You probably know who it is at this point. But let's bring on head coach Luigi Trillo. Welcome to the Navs Effect Podcast. All right, Coach Luigi. Now, I am very thankful to you for many reasons, but I think right now mostly because I've heard you cough. I know what you've been going through the last few days in terms of trying to nurse yourself back to health so you can be in that championship partying mode. But it's good to see you looking, like you're ready to get back in the recovery track. It's a championship hangover, not quite literally way, probably feels that way, but you look like you're the happiest man on earth right now. And why shouldn't you be? You just helped lead the Meralco Bolts to the first ever PBA championship in 14 years of existence. In the PBA, you won your first PBA title as a head coach for the first time since 2013 when you were still with the Alaska Aces. Funnily enough, when you won at Alaska for the first time, that was when I started my media career. And I've been in the media industry for more than like a decade now. And here we are with you winning another championship. This time with Meralco. Well deserved. It's been a long time coming. Very few people work as hard as you do in this industry. And to see someone like you rewarded for what you have done over the last decade and more, really, it's just amazing. Now,
Thank you.
first question, how are you feeling? Number two, number one, how are you feeling health wise? And number two, how are you feeling now that you can call yourself a champion once again?
Well, first of all, congratulations to the Navs Effect, 140 episodes. That's epic. That's something to stay long in what you do. We know that. Been coaching 25 years to stay in your profession and you're good at what you do. So, congratulations to that. Um, I'm okay. I'm sweating because I have my antibiotics. I think I got sick right after the finals. That night, the next day, I had the flu. We were hosted by the PBA, the championship celebration, and then we had one in Meralco. I said I wouldn't miss that for the world, but the whole day I was in bed, and then I stayed maybe about 2 hours there. At night I had chills, but you're right. I'm better though now, right? But how I'm feeling, I'm so happy for everyone in the organization. Really, really, so many people to thank. uh, you know, First time champions, guys who've been there the longest, Cliff Hodge, Anjo Karam, Chris Newsom with all that's been happening with him, and he's going to Gilas and having to do both both teams. That's amazing what he's done. Everybody in the organization, my management, has been very supportive. My brother has done a fantastic job, coaching staff, utility. But yeah, I'm still in cloud nine.
Why wouldn't you be? I mean, with the way that championship was won, with Newsom hitting the game winner, epic game six down the line, epic games throughout the series. Look, legit, I thought you guys could have actually won that in 5 games. I thought that the game that you kind of gave away was game two there a little bit towards the end of the stretch. But that's an interesting topic I'm going to bring up in a while because first, like you, I want to congratulate Paolo. I've known Paolo for a while now too. Ever since I've been covering the PBA, Paolo's been the team manager of the Bolts, and he's been doing a fantastic job. Always one of the most just professional guys you will have out there in the league. In a league where there's not a lot of professionalism, I will say that Paolo does a good job setting the standard for what being a professional is, and so do you, coach. So congratulations to both of you. Very well deserved. Congratulations to your family. I'm sure your wife, your kids are just thrilled as well. I mean, I follow some of them on Instagram, and I saw the photos when you guys won that night. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of it's a lot of fun there.
With Pau, what's amazing is my last championship. On my first year, my dad was a team manager, and we won it. We won
Mm.
it together, right? So right when I took over, obviously Tim was there for the longest time, and he cemented himself with those 13 championships, right? So coming in there, I'm happy I won one with my dad as team manager. But now you turn it over here with Pau. we've been in Meralco together 10 years. This is going our 11th. Proud of the work he's done. I mean, if you look at what we've done in terms of where we've started, how many the fan base, the players wanting to come over, the way Paolo handles situations, we've had five finals, right? One championship, about 15 semifinals. A lot of teams in the PBA really wait 5 years to even make one semifinals. You look at the two successful teams like Phoenix and Rain the last 5 years, they made one. The last eight conferences, we made six. So that's not only a testament to the players or to the staff, that's also to management, right? And I've seen Paolo Navin in the pandemic, which really got me. And I said, everybody calls him boss, right? But in the pandemic, not all the team managers or the governors went, right? Not, and we could only put a certain number of ball boys in. So everybody had to do the dirty work, right? But Paulo, he would carry the anything, all the bags. Okay, I'm talking about the utility bags. You don't have a boss doing
Wow.
that. When we were practicing every day, twice a day, he was filming. You know what it is for your boss to be up there in the bleachers filming, and then in the
Wow.
season, during the season, he's the guy filming. Not a lot of bosses would do that. They would probably point to an assistant coach and say, "Hey, you do it," right? But he
Right.
he did his thing, and I think he led from the front doing that. I don't think a lot of people would do that. I think people saw that, and that's why they respect him. And I'm just so happy for him
Absolutely.
because Navs, there's so much pressure. I mean, you know our profession. If you don't win, it's hard, right? I'm grateful. I've been in the
Right.
PBA 5 years, but there are a lot of people out there that don't last in the PBA, right? So
Mm-mm.
For Paolo to be with him and for us to win one together, really, really great.
Yeah, and also Paulo was successful with Ateneo when he was with Coach Norman there too. They had a lot of success, so it's no surprise that he's able to transition that success to the pros as well. And what you said about him carrying the items, filming practices, that just speaks to the work ethic of the person, which is no surprise to me. Like you get to talk to Paulo for like 5-10 minutes, and you immediately realize like this guy's a hard worker, and actions will always speak louder than words, especially when it comes to leading other people. Coach, I'm very curious about game two. I want to bring this up. You won game one, which was no surprise to me because of how you guys won game seven against Hinebra, where you really laid the smackdown defensively. Hinebra was having such a difficult time just to get quality shot attempts, and you had guys who could attack the lane and get to the paint. And nowadays in basketball, that's really what it is an offense, right? Who can get to the paint, who can attract multiple defenders so you could kick it out to the open guy. And that floater is very important now too, because now the big man under the rim is like wondering, is he gonna go for a floater? Is he gonna go for a layup, a jumper? And when you have someone like Chris Banchero, Chris Newsom who can hit those floaters, it makes life easier. But game two, particularly to me, was interesting because you guys were moments away from going up 2-0. 2-0 against a San Miguel team that has historically, in the last decade, dominated the All Filipino Conference, right? But then they make that comeback at the end. Marcio hits the big three. CJ makes some big plays. And it feels like, if Meralco loses the series, they will look back in game two and maybe wonder what would have happened if we won that. Now, what I'm curious about is when you're walking back to the locker room after a very dispiriting loss like that, as a head coach, you have to decide what your first message to the guys is going to be when you get to that locker room, right? And then I put myself in your shoes in that position. I asked myself, I wonder what Coach Luigi's gonna tell the guys first. Number one, we're still in this fight. Let it go, move on to the next game. Or number two, guys, we cannot let games like that slip. Because you can say both. Both can be part of your message. But which message you put first or say first is more often than not what's going to be impactful to the players the most. So what did you decide to do when you entered that locker room after the game two loss? Which did you say first? Which was it, one of the two, or was it something else?
You're right. It's funny because when I walk in there, Coach Nandal will say something, and then I'll say something, right? I think he was more of the positive, not move forward, but things to play and stuff. I think I was more about, you know, too many mistakes. right? And we can't have those things. So it was a good combination of both. But at that point, we were playing extremely well. It came into a freak accident where in the timeouts we were telling them no threes, and Nu was guarding CJ. I think he was guarding him enough because he knew CJ's 3 point percentage wasn't really that good leading up to that game. So he was playing him for the drive at least with a hand up, and his hand was up. But CJ made a tough shot. I think with Bong, he tried to defend Junmar first because the coaches on the side were shouting it. We were shouting a game plan for Junmar, right? But he overextended, left Marshall out, and Marshall hit the three. And you're right. You have to give them some resolve and congratulate them and mix it both. I don't think it could be one. I think it's right to have a little bit of both where you say some good things you did, but you also have to correct some of those mistakes. So we were back at it right away. You can't feel sorry for yourself like that. I know that was guys are like heartbroken after that. They just fell. But that's a series, and I think that kind of showed. I think the thing I'm proud about with this team was you're playing a team, Naveen, that's very composed. They've got a lot of composure. They've won so many championships. They have the horses to run the race, right? And we've been there. We've been there, but we've been on the losing end. So to come in there and to work on their psyche and mindset, I think is first, right? How as a coaching staff, how does Coach Nenad, how do we get together and work on our psyche to make sure when we come out in game 3 that we're on point, right? And I think that was established. We did very well with that because we did well in game 3. And if I may, most of these games were close. Last 1-2 minutes, it was like some
Yes.
of them were like a seesaw battle. Like,
It was more
uh,
interesting than the NBA finals, to be honest with you. The PBA
yeah,
finals was more interesting than the NBA finals. Yeah, go on.
we. And the thing with me was the road coming here. Like people don't realize. They say, okay, what was planted in that game 6 was our 4 failures. Everybody
Mm,
being planted 0-4, 0-for-3. I feel like saying none of these other teams, maybe none of these other 8 teams make even, those 4 finals. Or none
yeah.
of these other 10 teams make the 4 finals. We're there, they're not there. Yet here they are our players are being plastered of their faults on cam. I said, I was so happy for them that we won it because we earned it. And think about this. I think we're the only league in the world where there's no home game when you face Ginebra. Like 7 games is there.
Yeah,
You go to
yeah,
Korea,
yeah.
you go to Japan, you go to China, you go to Europe, you go to the NBA. There's home and away.
Home and
When
away.
we're playing them, it's 7 games their home court, right? San Miguel to a certain extent, they did have home court, but you're playing Ginebra 7 games. Our 4 finals, some of those games were in Philippine Arena. That's 60,000 people. That's bigger than a football stadium. So I'm
Yep.
saying those odds are really hard. And I think Coach Nenan and I have done a decent job. Coach Norman set the foundation. We were right there. And the thing for me in those defeats, we had some injuries. We had Cliff out one time. We had Raymond out the last time. Jimmy was hurt. Dillinger was hurt. So those are very painful, but this is so fulfilling, Naveen. The way we gutted it out with Ginebra, seven
Um,
games, right? And
right.
then now you beat San Miguel 6 games. Words can't express how proud I am of the our whole team.
Were there some late night text messages in between the games during the finals with maybe Newsom or Hodge or the players of the team where maybe even after like a game 2 loss or when you guys lost game 4 where can't believe that I screwed up that play? Did the player text you that? Or did the coach text you that? Were there like late night conversations that went on to like 2, 3 in the morning because it's the finals, right? So at this point, your whole lives are encapsulated in this series.
Yeah, I'm very close to my players. I have an open line. A lot of them, text me, Raymond, Elaine, Bong, New Cliff, and we do talk about those things. But sometimes they just need to let those things out. Sometimes you can just text them some vote of confidence, and that's part of it. That's how close a group we've become. And I'm I'm very proud of everyone, all the way till the last guy on the bench. I mean, these guys want to be here. They've actually become the culture. And, we're very family oriented. It's nice to see all of them with their kids there. They believed, really, really happy. And just to share this moment with them was something. I mean, that wasn't easy. I mean, we were 1-3. We were dead in the water. 3-5. We were looking, what pick will we be in the draft? Fourth, fifth pick? I think, if I may, Coach Nena did a brilliant job. We as a team, as a group, as him as our leader, right? But I also felt like he was in his flow in the finals, and he was doing his thing. I was helping him out. There was times also when we had to back him up when we were losing, right? So I had to be more vocal in the locker room. I made sure of that before the games, entering 1-3, 3-5. And I think that's where we got each other's respect, because we could have easily given up. Players could have turned around, given up on us. We coaching staff could have given up. But I thought that's how we kind of cemented our bond, because he saw that we were all out, we were all in, and it was a special moment. I think those tough times when we were like down and out, we, I wait for those times. I've been to tougher times before, and I think those times kind of put you in a such situation to come together, and that's what we did, in that locker room.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that. So you start the conference 1-3, then you go 3-5. So at this point, like you said, you're looking at the draft. Ooh, do we add depth in this position? Do we add depth in this position? But then when the playoffs come, first of all, you're the only team to beat San Miguel in the elimination round, which you were really, whatever the opposite of ideal is, that's what you guys were to San Miguel in terms of matchups this conference. And of course, it wasn't easy. But aside from having Coach Nenad's back, and aside from you two really uniting, what else were the changes made to flip things around? And the reason I'm very curious about that was because by the time we got to the semis and the finals, not only were the Meralco Bolts the better team against Ginebra and San Miguel, but it also felt like your Bolts team, you guys were the ones implementing the pace of the game, the rhythm of the game, at what speed the game would be played. Would it be low scoring? Which is, really how you guys won games, defensively oriented, low scoring, really make it feel like you have to pull it out of the mud, It reminds me of Spolstra and the Heat when they made the finals last year. So what flip did you guys change? Game plans? Did you guys change philosophies basketball wise? What were the changes you made?
After that tough loss, I remember that happened in Phil Sports. Coach Nenad started his speech out. He normally lets me speak after. He said that this is probably his lowest point in his life. Converge at a 20 game losing streak. And he was like, guys, this is probably the toughest point in my coaching career, my lowest point. All I ask is that you come in and, you give me your undivided attention, and let's focus in on this last three games. I don't know where I'll be. He kind of put a speech that he wasn't even sure of coming back. And I think guys just took it. And then when we came in, we were all like looking at each other. Like, we there's a lot of character in that Meralco room. We've been through a lot of adversity and a lot of fights together this whole time. So we're not one to back out, right? So, led by Nu and Cliff and Raymond and Elaine, we knew that. And then it's easy for the staff to come together. So we knew we were better than that. And then we took care of teams one by one, and Lex, and then, Magnolia, I think Ginebra, San Miguel. That time kind of put us in to situation. So what are we, right? And then obviously we didn't change anything. We looked at what we needed to improve. We kind of called out more guys. I think Coach Nena did. I think I did. There was more straight talk, tough love on the video. And I think after the wins started coming one by one, I think the confidence grew. But that time was really a time that we'll always cherish, because it was a time that we were looking at ourselves like we were down in the dumps. We knew we were better than that. I think also people don't realize that we had a long year, you know. I don't think
ASL.
anybody, yeah, nobody practiced as hard as we did. We knew that because we knew we were the better shaped team coming in with the way we were working. We had ESL, we had Doha. We were playing the Coach Nena that I discussed, and he had me calling the board in the PBA on tour. We were practicing 5 days straight, hardest practice, and then the next day
Wow.
would be the game. We wouldn't have breaks. People were probably thinking, okay, we ended up 7-4, we ended up third. We didn't have New, we didn't have CB, we didn't have at one point Elaine and Bong, I think with a mask, but we ended up 7-4. But people didn't know we were like killing them in practice. I appreciate the guys because they didn't have any quit. Elaine, Raymond, those guys. And we had guys hurt. We had AB hurt. AB didn't play. New didn't play. And CB didn't play. So those three are big in that conference. And then the next conference, we ended up 8-3. And we when you're 8-3, Naveen, normally that's for top two. And it's the first time I think ever since that inception in that tournament of 8-3 that four teams tie and we end up relegated to fifth.
Wow.
So we went to a triple overtime game against Phoenix, beat them that first game. Second game, Phoenix took care of us. They had best import, Williams, right? But
Yes.
it was also a very good conference. If that's a stepping stone of my partnership with Coach Nanad, our first year, that's an amazing conference at 8-3.
Yeah.
And then here comes this conference where we're down 3-5. We win our last three 6-5. All of a sudden, we're third. So you can
Right.
see the difference. 8-3, we're sixth. 6-5 third. You've got to take advantage of the opportunities. And I think we were in shape and we did. We did just that.
You said there were players that you might have had to call out. Were these the younger guys in the team or the veterans?
Are you kidding? The veterans. We just always
And
turn
how
our
did they
turn.
take it?
Uh, they were okay. I think the best respect I had for those guys was they didn't complain. That's the best
Mm,
respect I had for them because then I knew they knew what it took to win. I was part of Alaska in its early years as an assistant coach. I won four, but you know, Tim chewed a lot of those better players. He chewed Sean Chambers. He chewed Johnny. I was an assistant. Johnny was older than me in the UP. I could shout at Johnny and Bong Hawkins, and they were the most humble players. I was younger. I'd get mad at them. They'd take it. They were very professional. So once we got that guys like New, Cliff, Bong, Raymond, the other guys were easy, and I think once we were comfortable and Coach Ned was comfortable doing that too, we also stepped to another level.
that's incredible. The fact that the veterans, and that always happens with the great teams, right? Tim Duncan with the Spurs would allow Pop to coach him. Brady, at least for the most part, with Belichick in New England, allowed Bill to get mad at him in film sessions because when the franchise player for most teams, but when the best players in your team, for example, are willing to be coached, it just makes your job so much easier.
I think those tough conversations have to happen all the time. But when the player knows that you have his, the best thing for him in mind, he'll see through that. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because at the end of the day, if he's playing well, you don't have any qualms with him, right? You don't have anything to say. But if he's playing like shit, and he's,
He's playing like shit.
and he's playing like shit, and he's not doing the right things, he's not going the rotation, he's not on the backside, he's not running down, his body
Yeah,
language is different, then as a coach, it is your responsibility to bring the best out in that player. And if you allow that to go, you're actually not helping the player. So you have to get on those guys, and you might get into tough things, but if he's a gladiator, he's a warrior, he's got dog in him, he's a fighter, he'll realize that, right? And some of them early in their age probably would have
taking it
not
differently.
handled it as well. But I think, now that they're mature, they're more mature, they get that. Like, the first time you're in the league, you're looking at minutes, right? You're looking at things like that, right? But as you get
Stats.
older, yeah, you're looking at, if I have help, right? Or if I can make another leader out of these guys to make my life easier, because it takes a team, right? It takes a team. And
Right.
here in our league, most especially in our league, we're one of the leagues that have three conferences where you're playing a lot of a series worth 7 games. There's a lot of seasons. So you need a lot of bodies to go up against these deeper teams, right? And we've had to develop that. Guys like Bong, we've had to bring in, some guys to the draft. Obviously, Brandon, to name a few. We've had Alvin. We've had to bring in some vets who were free agents like Jensen, who are excited to be there. He's early to practice. He wants it. You can see like he's super excited to be a part of it, and he's a warrior. He's limited in certain things. What he can do, he can defend. He can hit the three. His handle's not that good, but he's got fight in him, and he tried to find where he could be an asset, and he did that, right? So it's a mix of everybody. You look at San Miguel, the only guy they drafted was Junmar, right? And then the
Mm,
two other guys are on the bench. All those other players have been from trades, right? You look at
right.
our team, I'm saying we've had maybe about 8 guys we've drafted, and we've missed
Wow.
2 drafts because we had to get Raymond. So you
Yeah.
look at Anjo, Cliff, right? Nu,
Chris,
okay. You've got Brandon, Jolo, you've got Bong, you've got AB. The one we
Diego.
picked up, yeah,
Oh, wait,
Jego
Diego
is
is
a free
Blackwater. Yeah. Yeah.
Jego is a
Yeah.
free agent like Jensen. But you look at guys we lost. We lost Dillinger to free agency. Like he was a free agent. He moved to Ginebra. You had Nards Pinto, and he moved. That's why we got CB, right? But
Mm.
but we've had to build this team. We made 2 trades. We got Elaine and we got Raymond, right? So a bit of that, and then
You
to the
did
draft,
you did
Brandon,
it the right
Jolo.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you give
Kind of like
management a lot of credit
Boston.
there.
Kind of like Boston. They drafted Tatum and Brown. They traded for Drew, Kristaps, and um, White, and then they have their bench that they drafted and developed, kind of like what you guys did with Meralco.
What's amazing is it's just not one guy. I can't
Yeah.
take full responsibility for this. Coach Nena can't, but you've got upper management. You've got Paolo. You've got the other players in the team who kind of will say, "Hey, this guy's free or that guy's free." So it's really everybody a group, and then it becomes infectious, and then we become family, right? So it's something we're proud about, and it always becomes interesting every year because something needs to get better or added in or improved. And we know next conference is gonna test us, so we're gonna enjoy now, but I know next conference gonna be one where we're gonna have to really lock in.
How many days off did you give your boys before practices resume?
Oh, first week of August. We need the break. I thought this conference, what we did well was we gave them a break. And then PBA told us, we kind of reached out, asked them in advance, look, you guys sent us to Doha. We joined the ESL because Ginebra backed out. We were asking if we could not play in the first 2 play dates. So we were thinking, okay, that's 5 days. If we gave them 2 days off, we would have one week before our first game, right? So we were
Right.
saying, okay, 1 week's enough. It's not enough, but at least we get some flow in, and then after that week, little by little we build. We had 2 days, and then they announced we were playing in the second play date, and then they moved us to the first play date.
Wow.
So we were 2 days in, and we had to play that first game. So if you can
Man,
think
oh
about it, that
man.
was tough. But sometimes those things kind of test you.
Work
You
out.
know what I mean? Like
Yes.
even going to the ESL, people said, or even in the other leagues, they say it's tough because you are traveling and you're playing in more leagues, right? Jumar did get hurt in the ESL. Some guys probably get tired. You have Gilas and that, but I look at it as a chance for our guys to grow. You're representing our country. You're representing the league. It's the champion teams of Asia. China's not the only one there not being represented. Australia too, but in terms of Korea, Japan, Taiwan has really improved their professional league, and then now I heard Indonesia's gonna join, and if I'm not mistaken, Thailand might join, and Hong Kong's trying to get a team back. So this is something we're excited about. We wanted more time. Now we have. Hopefully, we'll be able to reinforce it with 2 other imports.
Amazing, amazing. It's gonna be exciting to see what you all do at EASL because I feel that's just going to grow the basketball in Asia, and I'm very excited. Hopefully, the season I get to cover a game live. I definitely will try to watch you guys play. And just to confirm, that means Coach Nenad is coming back next season, right?
He is. He is.
He is.
He wasn't that sure when we were 3-5. I'll tell you that with his speed. And I was looking at him, and we had our conversation just between me and him. So that's between me and him, and we were like looking at each other. But this is such a wonderful season. I think we cemented our relationship. I'm sure he's proud. He's one guy who loves building programs. I'm happy Coach Norman's still there. He kind of, people don't give him enough credit for starting it, and how hard and tough to make I think
Right.
four final appearances, 14 semifinals, and then Coach Nenad comes in. I'm grateful because Coach Nenad's about building programs. The guy's been all over the world. He's been New Zealand, he's been in Italy, he's been, I think, in Turkey, in Serbia. He's been to China. He's been around, right? And I respect that. And if management says that we have an opportunity to better ourselves, me for Philippine basketball, I really think Coach Nenad's good for it because first of all, he's been in the national team. He's coached the national team, right? Secondly, you look at Japan. Japan was nowhere near China, Korea, and us, right? And then now they're gonna eventually be the second best league in the world. Eventually, you can see it
Mm.
happening already with the way it's going. They're gonna even they're about to have another league, and that
Wow.
league it's about to go down in a couple of years, and their budget's gonna be off the charts. So
Whew.
there's certain things that I found out with that. And if you notice why, it's because they have a ton of imports.
Yes,
So,
yes.
they're not close-minded to that. They bring in guys, they better the program. They bring in some foreign coaches to compete against the local coaches and exchange minds. And where is Japan now? They're in, their program has been good. You look at Taiwan, Taipei, they're open to that. So I'm saying as long as the foreign coaches are helping our local coaches and they're open to that, embracing that, I think it's something for the PBA to consider. Because it's a global game. Look at NBA. The stars are from Europe, right? You look at the Euro League, Partizan, who's a Serbian basketball team. Half the team's Americans. Never been a day that you thought that there'd be Americans in a Serbian professional basketball team. So I'm saying that you look at Japan, you look at Taiwan, that could be an eye opener for us, and that might bring some excitement to the league. I think the PBA is going in the right direction. I'm happy we're having a conference that has two imports, Naveen, and that might bring some excitement, right? Because we're losing some of the better amateurs. They're going overseas too. So that's something that's good for the league, I think.
Absolutely. Growth, development, competition. And that's also what made this finals that you had against San Miguel just so enticing in so many ways. Over the last few years, especially this conference, we've gotten accustomed to okay, it's San Miguel or it's Ginebra. Once in a while, Talk and Text will win the championship. Once in a while, Meralco will make the finals. Maybe Phoenix or Rain and Shine will make the semifinals, make things interesting a little bit. But ultimately, it ends up with San Miguel or Ginebra. That's what it's been over the last few years. So for the Bolts to have a legit chance to win the finals, I felt that just drew in so many people and so many old fans who might have stopped watching and so many new fans who finally had the chance to watch a PBA because they were waiting for something to spark their interest in the league. And you Bolts, you did that. I was thinking about it. Like, when was the last time there was this much excitement for the PBA finals? At least covering it as media. Maybe the last time was when Ginebra faced Bay Area in that invitational conference. But that's also in part because Bay Area was a team from Hong Kong. And it
Yeah.
was almost like your champions from the Philippines, Ginebra, against Hong Kong's Bay Area. So that's why also it was very enticing. But in terms of like a local team versus another local team, I would have to probably go all the way back to the time that San Miguel completed that 0-3 comeback against Alaska. I'm not sure if you were still in the staff at that point.
No, no, I was that was
No,
Alex already. That was
that
Coach
was Coach
Alex.
Alex. Yeah.
Ed's 2013 was my championship. Alex
Yes.
was my assistant, Topex and Coach Louis, and then they came in there. I remember watching that. I said these guys are gonna get it. They were up 3-0. And then
Yeah.
San Miguel
Yeah.
found a way, right? But I was gonna say, what's so gratifying, and to me, I kind of said this in Game 5, was the most prestigious conference is the All Filipino, because like us, Meralco, right? We're not as strong in paper. Every year, the last 11 years I've been in the PBA, the coaches who are the top four teams, we're never there. Even if we make the finals, the next year they ask in the preseason, we're never there, right? But to win an all Filipino Cup, right? To win it without an import speaks volumes. Speaks volumes of the team, because we can say we're the best team in the nation, and they did it. They did it. They believed. They persevered. They had poise. They gutted it out. It was not easy. There was no shortcut. We didn't have Aaron, right? We didn't have Aaron. We were down in the dumps. We had come off a tiring season of multiple tournaments. And we had to face two of the toughest teams with 7-game home courts. That to me was like, we looked at each other like we were really, really, I think we got respect after this, Naveen, because this is something that we worked for.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it was respect well earned. I am curious though, coach, did you kind of feel, if not during the finals, at least maybe after when it was all said and done, that because of how your Meralco team performed, you were able to really catch so many eyeballs once again for the PBA? I mean, that must have just added to the incredible feeling of winning, right? Knowing that not only did you beat a super team, not a super team, but a super team in terms of how consistently great they've been, that you won the championship for the first time in your franchise, and also that the PBA fans felt like this was the finals they have been waiting for a while.
I think we made a lot of people happy, because when I walk around, and I don't go out much, but if I'm in the mall or I pass by the gasoline station or somewhere, everybody's congratulating us. And honestly, I haven't had so many people ask pictures or selfies. So, you can feel that. But I think Nu said it, and we want to inspire those underdogs or people who are having a tough time, to say that, this is a Cinderella story, led by our governor, Attorney Bill. He's always been on our side, checking us up, Pau, and then Coach Nenad and everybody. So just the players, we've all come together, and I think people respect that. They respect the way we do things. They respect the fight in us. That 100% of the time, if you're seeing us, we could be down. We'll give it our all. It's just very gratifying. And to me, my kids, you know how it is in social media. You know how it is.
Yes, yes.
After Alaska, after 1 year of winning a championship, I had one conference, and then I joined Meralco, right? And then those four conferences where we lost in the finals, and then to win it, I came in. I thought I'd be the only guy crying when I hugged my kid, Shabby, Sio, Kiel, Raquel. They were all crying too. It was a moment
Wow.
I shared, even Ria. So I had them on court, right? I made sure I went to pick up my wife and give her my kiss, but we were like hugging as a group, because I'm sure they see what I go through here. They see sometimes when I'm in the zone, they always tease about it. I could be in the dinner table, or before it used to be in movies, now it's Netflix na lang. But when we watch Netflix, I could be watching, but I'm not watching Netflix. My mind is somewhere else, so I have to take a walk. So just them being proud, and sharing that moment with my family is one of the best feelings, a father or dad or a husband could have. And you're right, just people around, it brought some excitement back. You know what I mean? It was,
Absolutely.
you said it was well coached. And not to take anything away from San Miguel, San Miguel, it's not like they didn't come to play. It's not, because they were a couple of games. If you notice, some of the games they were up with a couple of seconds left. Some of those games they
Yes.
were up by one. We had to pull back and get the lead. Game 5 and Game 6, mind you, right? So those games, if you look at them, even the other games, they were very close. And I have a lot of respect for San Miguel, their organization, because if you look at them also, if you have the budget and you have pride and you're one of the winningest, professional ball clubs, you're gonna put it in your power to find ways to make sure that you get the best resources or the talent, right? And I think, Boss Robert Non, Sir Al, they've done a remarkable job in building those teams. So that's why they're there. But I feel just happy for my guys. They can't take that away from our guys. They're champions now.
This might be me reaching for too much symbolism, but I'm going to say it anyway because we're in episode 140, so why not? I feel one of the reasons why your win was so inspiring was because to some degree it validates what anyone hears, no matter what industry or walk of life they decide to choose. It's always just work hard, just keep persevering, just be patient, right? Whether you're a basketball coach or a player or someone who works in media like I do, or even a businessman or a lawyer, a doctor, or even, when you put up a restaurant, just work hard, be consistent at it, believe, have patience, trust in each other, and it's going to work out. But there's always that voice at the back of our minds saying, but what if it doesn't work out? What if the secret isn't working hard and being patient, but actually stacking things up and being just overwhelmingly dominant? Maybe that's financially, or maybe that's putting together a team with superstars. And that's not to say that San Miguel doesn't work hard. They do. They have worked extremely hard over the last few years to become the dynasty they are, and they deserve respect for that. But you guys winning the championship, finally breaking through after coming so close so many times, I feel it just validates some of the fundamental principles of working hard and being a champion even before you are a champion. You have to play the part of a champion by making the sacrifices before you win the championship. And you Bolts, you did all of that so well. And I'm so happy that you guys did because it validates so much of that. I am curious though, you mentioned your family and you can choose to answer, you can choose not to answer, but I am just very curious. So I'm gonna go ask it, Coach. What was your reaction to your standout rookie suddenly dating your daughter? Because that must have been something that you had to reflect about a little bit. Did it give you the green light to maybe go harder at baits at practice because he knows he has to impress you, or
Oh, I have a
did
picture.
she tell you in
I
advance?
have a
Do you have a
picture in our
story about that?
championship trophy, and I'm strangling
Yeah.
him. The guy said we had okay, the last mga lasalista, all of them, okay, all the
Yeah.
letranistas, San Beda. And then when we went with all the Lasalites, it was me, Brandon, and Norbert, right? And then they said, "Oh, father, son, father, son." So anyway, I was up for it. I just stood with him, but I was strangling Brandon, right? But it was funny because I found out about it, I think, through my wife. She's close to my daughter. I couldn't tell my players, right? Or I couldn't tell anyone because I'm sure they would have started making fun of me, right? And then
Oh, they would have had
one
so
of
much
it, I
fun.
said, nobody knew. Nobody knew for like
Yeah.
months. And Brandon's he's a very secretive type. He's a
Low
shy in
key.
that
Yes.
yeah, he's low key. And then I said to myself, okay, after win, I had a picture with Brandon and we were in a Japanese restaurant eating. I said, I'm just gonna post this. So I just get it all from them the next day, right? So I posted it.
Right.
Right when I posted it, the next day, oh my god, they all started teasing me about it. And I brought all the bigs aside and I said, guys, I said, called Raymond on. So sorry, Raymond, your playing time is gonna go down, guys. All of you guys. uh Brandon gets a 5-year deal, then they all started laughing. We have to keep it light, right? But I
Right,
saw
right.
Brandon before he courted Rocio. He's a great guy. He's a very humble guy. Stands on his own 2 feet. He treats
Makes a good
everybody.
coffee.
He makes a damn good coffee. I heard. I haven't gotten one yet. I hope to try it once. But just seeing the way he treats people in the team and how he reacts and responds with everyone is something that I admire of him. And then, I'm just happy for both of them. So I don't know where it's gonna go, how far it's gonna be, but I'm happy for him and Rocio, and like you said, he was making coffee the other day, and I teased actually Rocio. I said, since you guys came together, that's when he started playing well. Maybe you should have got it together earlier, right? And it's serious. When they started getting together,
That's
all of a sudden
true.
Brandon
He
Rocio
was
started teasing.
inspired.
He was, if okay, we can be boyfriend if you play good and you work hard. You have to play well in the game. If you're not gonna
Whoa.
do so. He was joking, Brandon, right? But I'm serious. He started playing well.
He did
So
actually. Yeah, now that you mention it, the timeline fits. He starts dating her and he starts looking like the rookie of the year or something like that. I mean, Great.
His
And
his
his
family is
performance was wow.
yeah. No, I mean, I don't think he realized how big the stage was, right? And I think you have to give credit, Coach Norman, Papare Hugnatam work on him on the sidelines too. Coach Nenad works on his psyche. Going up against Stan Hardinger and Japet, and then guarding Junmar, right? And then
Ooh,
guarding that shaded lane where he's averaging a couple of 4, 6 blocks in a series and bringing that energy. I don't think he knows that big a stage that he was in, right? And Coach Nenad said something in the dugout, and I'm a firm believer in it. I also had the same thing in mind when he said about being courageous and being brave. And Brandon was that. He was that. I think he played much better in this series than he did in LaSalle, right? And
oh, for
and
sure.
in LaSalle he was a role player there, but he fell in the draft.
Yep,
He was a ninth pick. If you think about it, looking at the way he played now, he's the future of Meralco. He's gonna be a big part of what we're gonna be doing moving forward. Matching up with big guys, with imports, bringing the energy. He's only going to get better. But with that being said, he's got to put his mind into really having a routine, watching the way, some of the vets do it in terms of coming in early, putting in the work, taking care of his body. Eventually, he will have to groom the younger guys too. So the way the older
yes,
guys were, the way Reynel Hugnatan was, Jimmy was, the older guys in the team taking care of the younger guys. Now it's new taking care of the other guys, right? So Bong, AB, and Brandon, those three are the young guys. They're I think 27, 26, and 29. And those are the guys who are, you have some of your vets, and then you have some of those guys in the middle, and then you have those really younger guys, right? So it's a good mix.
absolutely. And well, he'll need to keep playing well. I mean, he needs to impress you, not only you now too, right? The whole family as well. I mean, good luck to Brandon. Make Coach Luigi a coffee. We're crying out loud soon enough. There's one aspect I want to talk to you about because the last time you and I spoke really this long was during the head coaching search for DLSU in the UAAP. It came down to between you and head coach Topex Robinson. Ultimately, it went to Coach Topex because he was earlier in the search process. And I remember you and I had a discussion, and I wouldn't say you felt bad because you were still with Meralco. It wasn't like you didn't have a job. But at the same time, you were excited at the thought of coming home to LaSalle, coaching a Green Archers team, helping lead them back to their first championship in years. And the LaSalle spirit in you, I felt it. And a lot of alumni, by the way, were really eager to have you potentially come in too because of your LaSalle ties. But look at how it all worked out. What a sliding doors moment. I mean, Topex goes to LaSalle. He fits in there right away. He earns the trust of his players. They win a championship in epic fashion. Few months later, half a year later, but close enough, you are now the head coach of Meralco and you helped the team win their first championship in franchise history. Do you ever, I mean, since you won the championship the last few days or since you've been in the finals, have you reflected a little bit on what could have been had things worked out differently? Because I just think about that and I'm like, wow, I mean, if things went the other way, would it still be how it is now? What if you had gone to LaSalle and Coach Topex had gone somewhere else? And would Meralco be a champion now? Would LaSalle be a champion now? Have you reflected on that?
Actually, no, but the funny that you mentioned that when Topex won, I texted him, Coach Topex, extremely happy for him, proud of him. He's developed his own system, his culture, his belief. He really brought that championship to the Sal in the way he worked on the minds of those players, and I'm proud of him. Right at the same time, when I won, he texted me too, and I said, "Thanks, coach." So at that point in time, I was looking at myself that I was an assistant for 10 years. I was looking for something also with a lot of thought process, talking to my wife and challenges. I have 4 kids, so that opened up. But I'm extremely happy for Lasal and Coach Topex. I'm very happy with Meralco. I'm very grateful to management. most especially Attorney Bill. We have a close relationship. I have close relationship with management also. I'm happy with Meralco, and like you said, no regrets. They won a championship. We won a championship. So it couldn't have worked better for both of us. With that being said, I if you ask me about LaSalle, like before, I'm 48 years old. You know, Coach Tab's coaching at what 60, 68 or something. When I spoke to the LaSalle higher ups, we had a good conversation at the end, and they always told me to keep the lines open. They wished me well, and they said that to just be in touch. So you never know, right? Is it a dream of mine? My dad coached LaSalle. I played for LaSalle. If that ever comes up, and that may happen, obviously I'm not gonna turn my back on my alma mater, right? That's LaSalle. But for now, my priority is Meralco. I have a contract with them. I'm happy. We're ready to really enjoy this vacation first, but we're looking forward to the next conference, the 6-6 conference, and all my thought process will be in that. But that's such a great question you asked about LaSalle and Topex. He did text me, so I'm very appreciative of Coach Topex.
Animo Lasal, coach. Animo Lasal for sure. You will always be a Lasallian. That's for certain. And I like how you brought up that you're excited to get back next season because that's the next level, right? That's the next level. You won the first championship. It feels like a honeymoon. Everything's great right now. The coffee tastes extra yummy. The breakfast tastes extra yummy. Your walks around the village probably more fun. You're getting messages from your friends. Media is loving you. The public is loving you guys. But soon enough, it's gonna be okay. The Bolts have won one championship, but can they? Was it like a one time thing, or can they make this a regular thing? Right. That's when the next step starts, and there
Well,
will be a lot of time to discuss that. Go ahead. Go on. You want to say something?
yeah, no, the nice thing now is the season ending conference gives us a little bit more to enjoy, like a month more, right?
Right.
Because if it was in between
Right.
conferences, we'd have to jump into it. But you're right. After about a month and a half, it's gonna happen, and we're gonna get back on the saddle again. And now you're gonna have a big bullseye on our chest, right? And
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
people are also gonna be ready for us and they're gonna bring their A game. But with that being said, we have the experience and we already have the nucleus, right? Now we have to find the
Yes.
hopefully get AD coming back, get these guys ready. We have tough practices. So when these things happen, we're gonna be ready with that. And like you said, the hardest thing, and I think it's a challenge for a team, is winning back to back, right?
Mm.
So there are gonna be a lot of hungry teams out there too. But that's something that would be special for us, because we haven't won in that conference. That conference, we've won four first runner-ups. That in our mind is, we won the All Filipino, but that conference is the conference that we've lost four times. So that'll be a motivation for us as well.
Absolutely. But there's one more thing I want to look back the last conference, and that's game six. That's Chris Newsom's championship winning jumper. I mean, could it have happened to anyone more deserving? A guy who
He
was
practices
cut from
that.
the
First of all,
Gilas World Cup roster. I mean, yeah. Yo, did he ask for the ball? Did he go to the huddle and was like, Coach, give me the ball. I'm
before
winning us this game.
before you even mention that, just to look at what Nu was. In Ateneo, he was a power forward. He was a point guard power forward. They didn't even make the finals, right? I don't even think they make the playoffs. Then he comes in and he starts building himself, right? So he's a defender. Then he becomes a two guard, right? Then he develops a 3-point shot, right? Then he starts building his mid range. Now all of a sudden, I remember when I had to coach in the quarterfinals, I started using him at the point guard, right? He has really evolved, and it couldn't, like you said, Naveen, it couldn't have happened to a better, genuine guy. This guy shares his wealth. When he gets some shoes, he shares it with his teammates. He gets something, he puts it as potluck. He has like a free throw shooting, a half court shooting contest to help his teammates. He has those conversations with the team. He's like our
Wow.
extension there. But you know what? He practices those shots. He puts in the
Mm-mm.
work. Game day, he practices in Meralco in the morning. Like he has his routine. That's why he's Chris Newsom, right? And he's got a coach's mind. He thinks the game, he knows the game. I'm just so happy it happened that way because it wasn't given, it was really earned. I mean,
Mm-mm.
everything that Nu has done, like think about he could have gone another way, but he's always gone the right way, right? Think about in Gilas when he was cut. He didn't stop going. He was there till the end. The next tournament, what does he do? He wins a championship for the Philippines, right? He's been with us. He's stayed the course, tired and all. And then he, like you said, we called that play for him. Coach Nenad decided that Nu had it in the bag. We've run that for him in ESL. We've done that for him in the pandemic in Pampanga. So he's hit a couple of game winners too, right? And that was pretty defended pretty well.
Very
And
much so.
he's been through a
Was
lot.
just better offense. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's had to play both ends of the court because it's hard. Huh? He had to defend CJ, and if he's not defending CJ, he's guarding Jericho or Marshall. So though he had his hands full as well.
That play, that exact play, was that what you had in mind right away as the players entered the huddle and you had to set something up? I mean,
They
after the
were
Junmar 3,
they
which
were
was
top blocking
insane,
him.
by the
They were
way.
they were top, yeah, they were top blocking
Mm.
him. So there was supposed to be a screen. So he was still supposed to go that, but he was smart enough
Mm.
to move the guy and then keep on moving him and then just peel off. So there was no screen. So there was supposed to be a screen, but there was no screen. And then when he moved in one motion, he caught it and turned, right? But
So he
Noose
was
used to
supposed to
those.
get it top of the key.
Not really. He where he got it was, but Cliff was supposed to give him a screen. But
Mm.
because the guy was stop blocking him, it's hard, right? So he just kept on walking him up, and then
And
just
then
went
suddenly,
down.
yeah,
Yeah, move. And then they kind of switched. They didn't want Cliff's man went up to him, but Cliff couldn't even screen him. But he caught the ball clean, right? And he made that shot. So yeah, I have goosebumps, but I was just locked in. I mean, because of game two, after that, I wasn't celebrating. We were like, okay, good. And then that Junmar shot, that last shot from our angle, it looked like it was going in because we were
it
on the
looked like it.
sideline.
Yeah,
It hit the back of the rim. So
incredible. Game
they
of
ran into the
inches.
court. I made sure I chased Coach George. He turned already, walked in, but I made sure I chased him. I wanted to shake his hand. I shake Boss Robert's hand also, just to show sportsmanship also, because at the end of the day, you know both teams gave their hearts out. You want to be sportsmen, so did that, and then went back, and everybody was already in the court.
Confetti everywhere. Coach Luigi Trillo, everybody. Coach, thank you so much for joining me. Now, before I let you go, I want to just do a quick round of rapid fire here. So I'm going to ask you some quick questions and just give me your answers to them. Have a few questions in mind. First one is regarding the PBA draft. So far, at least from my end, I've reported a few names joining the PBA draft. So that's Francis Escandor, CJ Payawal, Deron Mitchell. Also from the UAP, a couple of champions are joining: Evan Nelly, CJ Cancino, Paul Garcia, CJ Katapusan. And of course, there's some wonder if guys like maybe Kobe Paras, David Defonso, Justin Baltazar will join the draft. Of course, we always have some late Phil Amps joining the draft before the deadline, which in this case is on July 4. So really, that's about 2 weeks from now. Early thoughts about the PBA draft and some of the players I mentioned. Any of them stand out to you?
I think all of them can depends on the need of a team. There's nobody that really stands out. Like if you told me Baltazar was there, or if you said like a Balungay, I think some of the bigs might go ahead. But all of those guys you mentioned are pretty solid. Some of those will be glue guys who can do certain things for you. A lot of great guards though coming in. That's the one thing I noticed just seeing the draft started led by Evan, Nelly, Gonzalez. So there are a ton of guards there, Lastimosa. Depends, who falls to who. But we were looking at fourth, fifth, sixth. Now we're drafting, I think, 11th. So, we'll look at who's available then. But I sure hope they start signing in. I know that the draft is on July 14, right? And the names have to start coming in already. I might not even be here. The summer league in the NBA will be in Vegas. I might have to talk to Coach Nena and Paul about that. I was there last year, and I might be there again this year. But a lot of notable guys. I think that, like I said, guys you mentioned won't be franchise players, but they'll be role players. Right now, if a Bearfield comes in, yes. Bati comes in, yes. But all these other guys, I think they'll be integral parts in the team and they can hold their own.
Yes, yes. And like I said, we're always going to see some surprises too. And even if you're picking at 11, I mean, there are always those steals in the drafts, right? Late in the first round, maybe the early
We had
second
hey,
or
we
third
had
round. So,
Aaron second round. We had Bong second
exactly.
round,
Yeah,
right? We
even
had
even Bates wasn't like a
Polo.
top 5 pick. Yeah.
Brandon was ninth.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He would probably go top 3 right now if the draft happened again right now. Any of your guys whose contract expired after this last PBA season that you have to resign this off season or
well,
extend?
we're certainly gonna try to sign new. He's got 10 months on it, and I think Pau's on it already. So he deserves it. I'm glad it couldn't have had happened any better for Meralco and Nu, and now they have to come to terms. So I'm sure he's gonna start working on that. When you win a championship, it's good for everyone, not only the management, not only for the coach, not only for the top players, all the way till the all the players in the team. Because even if they don't get signed, they're priority for the other teams. Their stock went up, so I'm just happy for everyone. I know there's certain guys we have to sign. Brandon has 2 years, I think. The guys who are ending. Cliff just got signed. I think News the main guy that needs to be signed. CB probably has, I think, maybe a year left, maybe around that time also, about 11 months. So CB new, I think those will be the priorities. We have Jensen also getting also there. Elaine also might be up. So Pau, I'm sure is gonna be start has to do his work. This is vacation, but there was no vacation for him. I'm sure in the next maybe another 8 to 10 days.
Exactly. Lots of negotiations. How do these negotiations usually go? Are they a lot of back and forth? Are there bonus clauses, performance clauses that include like 24/7 conversations? Are there times when for days you don't get a reply and you're wondering, "Oh my god, was the player offended by our offer?" Like are these aspects when it comes to the contract negotiations?
Yes, some of them happen real quick. Some of them happen real quick. Some take time. So depends also on the negotiation. Depends also on stuff, and that's why Paulo's there, right? So he really has done a great job in that in terms of molding. Obviously, we follow a cap, so it's hard, and he has to do that.
I wish
He
all
has to
teams follow
balance
the
it
cap.
out. It's he has to balance it out because it's hard, and we're grateful to have some of the other guys. But when you win, it gets expensive. So I don't know now in terms of how he's going to balance it out. I haven't talked to him about that. That's his side of work. My side is more of the X's and O's, and it's a hard job. It's a hard job to sign guys like that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that information, coach. And thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I know we went longer than I anticipated, but there were just so many stories worth reliving. And once again, I must say it couldn't have happened to a better team what you guys did in the PBA. Personally, myself too, what you guys did this last conference reignited my passion for the PBA and made me very curious again about covering the league, watching the league, and just enjoying the competition of all of it. Because at the heart of everything is competition when it comes to sports and basketball, and just seeing underdogs make it all the way. You guys are no longer underdogs, you're champions. And like I said, it couldn't have happened to a more deserving bunch. Thank you for being my 140th episode. This was an amazing conversation, and I look forward to many more great memories for you and the team. Thank you.
Thanks, Naveen. Congratulations, 140th episode. I'll see you. Always a pleasure to be on your podcast, and keep in touch. Take care.
Absolutely. I'm sure I'll have you back in the future. Take it easy, coach, and stay safe.